COVID's still affecting the way real estate closings are happening. People are always questioning, what do I do? What is the process like? How do I know I'm going to be safe? What type of practices are happening?
Yeah, I'm really tired of COVID, as I think so many of our listeners are. But obviously, this is a really hot market right now. This is customarily when we see a lot of first-time homebuyers coming through, and they are still very much wondering, how do we close during COVID? The biggest change that we're seeing, and I hope that it's not a permanent change, but it's sticking around at least now during COVID, is the bifurcated closing. The buyers and sellers are not in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
So to that end, we have to work out some of that nitty gritty stuff beforehand, right? Like the keys exchanged, any kinds of questions, garage door openers, codes, that kind of stuff. And, to some degree, it's streamlined it a little bit. If we have clients who are simultaneously selling and purchasing, before they would go to the closing to sell in the morning, and then they would come to the closing in the afternoon to buy, right? That's just the way we did it. Now we're really getting them here all at one time and signing all of the documents for their sale and their purchase. So that way they have only one closing to go to, but we're doing all the paperwork at the same time. So it's two closings, one-stop shop. So, and some people prefer that because then it frees them up to really be able to do more focusing on their moving or their packing or whatever, is required.
That's interesting. I would say that the real estate process is so much more efficient. I think if anything, I think that, while COVID really has really stunk, at the same time, it's really allowed for businesses to evolve and adapt. And I mean, I've seen it in our industry, right? And I've seen things just, I would say we're probably about 3 to 5 years ahead of where we were before this thing started.
I completely agree. And land evidence is a really good example of just that. The way we search titles was exclusively in person for the most part in Rhode Island.
Wow.
Leading up to COVID. Now, I can't say every city and town is online because Foster is still a holdout. They are
I was
not
going to
online
say
yet.
Foster, yeah.
But most of the cities and towns are now online. We actually have about 8 communities where we can record electronically. So we can do everything from the comfort of our office. Now, there are some caveats and, of course, provision of restrictions. In some communities, we still may need to make appointments to go in because their online database only goes up to a certain year and our title is not complete unless we go beyond that year, depending on, what we can see in the title. So it's not always a perfect system. I would say things are more efficient, but also are taking longer at the same time because now if you have to wait for that appointment, it takes a little bit longer. I think most of the mortgage lenders we're dealing with are recommending 45-day closings just to build in some of that title time, especially because we're in such a shortage of inventory, but such a abundance of buyers. We're seeing a lot of folks that are trying to close and close quickly to keep it competitive, and that can make things a little bit tighter under those COVID restrictions.